Hi, I'm Barbara Evers. I'm back again to share one of my stories with you. The story today is called Whippoorwill Calling, and it appeared in this issue of the Pettigrew Review. It says TPR up there, that stands for the Pettigrew Review. It is the literary journal for South Carolina Writers Association, and this one was volume 7. Whippoorwill Calling. Yeah, that's cold. Dana yanked her feet out of the lake and fell back on the dock, splashing us in the process. We laughed. The cool water came as a welcome change after a long, hot summer. The 4 of us, Dana, Mary, Mary's mother, and me, sat on the dock beside Lake Jocassee, listening to the sounds of evening float across the water. A breeze drifted over the lake and raised goose flesh on my bare arms. I stared at my reflection in the murky depths. A lone whippoorwill sang out. Whippoorwill! Whippoorwill! The last note lingered on the still air. I shivered. I heard that whippoorwill last night. Mary's mother, we called her by her first name Rose, nodded. Some people say they foretell death. I shivered again. Dana flicked at the water with her toes, sending splatters across the surface. I thought that was owls, she said. Them too. A smile flitted across Rose's broad face. The whippoorwill called again. Whippoorwill! Whippoorwill! Whippoorwills sound plain spooky to me, I whispered, ashamed that my voice quivered. To my surprise, they agreed. The whole house is creepy, Dana said. It feels haunted. Rose had rented the lake cottage for an end of summer fling before Mary's last year of high school. The old house sat on a small peninsula that rose above the lake. The rooms were dark, furnished with heavy antique furniture, and decorated with a taxidermist eye to decor. It creeped me out. Even the antiques unnerved me, reminders of ghosts lurking nearby, protecting their treasured objects. It's like something's watching us in there, I said. Mary muttered something, then jumped to her feet. Y'all are no fun. She stalked up the hill. After a moment, Rose clambered up the hill after her daughter, calling out to her to wait. I watched Mary walk away, feeling superior in my willingness to stay. A wicked thought crossed my mind. I turned to Dana. You know, Mary's afraid of wardrobe closets. She thinks something will jump out at her. There's one in our room. It was the first thing I noticed when we chose bedrooms the night before. Dana snored, so she got a room to herself. That left Mary and me in the room with the wardrobe closet. Until Mary told me about her fear, I never gave wardrobes another thought. Mary's power of suggestion, though, was all I needed to set off my crazy imagination. I don't know which scared me more, the whippoorwill calling, the animal corpses decorating every corner of the house, the antiques, or that looming wardrobe closet. Dana laughed out loud. Wouldn't it be funny if... She paused and watched me, her eyes dancing. We stared at each other for a moment, and then I laughed. When Mary and Rose wandered the shoreline, we hatched our plan. It sounded simple. Wait until bedtime, distract Mary, and then slip Dana into the closet. Just because something sounds easy doesn't mean it is. Once Dana was in the closet, she couldn't move without making a lot of noise. Suppressing our giggles and whispers, we dragged an old metal step stool into the bedroom and wedged it tightly into the small space in the closet. It left just enough room for Dana to tuck herself inside. We tested it. No noise. Are you ready? I whispered. She smiled and gave me a thumbs up. I closed the door, watching her face disappear as I shut out the light. My chest constricted at the solid click, like I had just closed her into a sarcophagus. Averting my eyes from the frozen animal corpses that lined the hall, I hurried to the bathroom. I peed with my eyes shut, avoiding the steady gaze of the huge stuffed owl perched on a shelf across from the toilet. Lights out, the dark enveloped us, and I lay waiting. Clouds rode across the face of the moon, casting shadows on the walls. Tree branches danced in the night, scratching against the roof. Water slapped against the floating dock, a hollow plunking sound. The house became its dark, creepy self again, and my stomach churned in anticipation. Several minutes passed. Mary's breathing developed the regular rhythm of sleep. The whippoorwill's song sought out souls in the night. Whippoorwill! Whippoorwill! All I could think was, get it over with. But Dana was silent. I tried to imagine how she felt entombed in the darkness, and I was glad to be in the bed instead. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face disappear behind the lid of a coffin, followed by the accusing eyes of the stuffed owl in the bathroom. The longer I lay there waiting for Dana to make her move, the more I doubted our plan. I was ready to confess when I heard a scratching from the closet. Then Dana moaned low and long. Mary sat up. What was that? I don't know. A pulse of adrenaline raced through me. What was Dana doing? I thought the plan was to just jump out. Dana moaned again. Oh, oh. Mary whimpered and pulled the covers to her chin. Thump, thump, thump came from the closet. A thrill of fear rolled over me. Why didn't Dana get it over with? Ah, scratch, thump, thump, oh, thump, thump, bang. The closet rocked. The door rattled, and something fell against the door and shrieked down it like nails on a chalkboard. My hair stood on end. Mary cried and buried her head under the sheets. Everything went quiet. Seconds ticked by. Whippoorwill! Whippoorwill! The bird's death call floated through the air. In the distance, another answered, Whippoorwill! Whippoorwill! Silence, like its own voice, rang through the wind. The wind blew, the old house creaked and groaned. Mary sobbed. This was too much. I opened my mouth to tell Dana to come out, but no sound came forth. My throat closed up just like in my worst nightmares. I clawed at the covers, ready to jump up and open the closet. The sheets tangled around my legs, trapping me. I kicked at them, unable to get free. The closet erupted with furious thumps and bangs. Let me out! Let me out! The door burst open and Dana flung herself on top of Mary. I've got you! Mary screamed. I felt the bed sway. A loud crack sounded below me. The bed frame crashed to the floor. I tried to scream, but my voice still hid in my throat. Dana's triumphant laughter and Mary's screams echoed through the house until light flooded the room. Rose stood in the doorway, shaking her head at the destruction. The bed sat at a twisted angle, leaning towards the wardrobe's closet. Mary cried and flailed at Dana. Rose captured her daughter's arms and grabbed her in a bear hug. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Mary peered over her mother's shoulder at us. Her eyes hardened as she caught sight of Dana. You! She fought to free herself from her mother's arms, but Rose held her tight. Dana laughed harder. Mary stopped her struggles, but her eyes stared at us in pain. It's not funny. It's not funny. The next morning, I rose early. Picking at a splinter under my fingernail, I shuffled into the kitchen. Dana stared out the window. I punched her in the arm. What was all that last night? Dana rubbed her arm and scowled at me. What was what? I thought somebody scratching. I said, ooh, let me out, let me out. I mimicked in a high-pitched voice. Dana stared at me. What are you talking about? You, in the closet, making all that noise. You took long enough. I slammed a coffee cup on the counter. Dana shook her head, confusion wrinkling her forehead. Beth, I didn't say anything. I couldn't make any noises. The door stuck. I thought I'd never get out of there. Come on, I said, still plucking at the splinter under my fingernail. You expect me to believe that you didn't make any noises in that closet? Yes, Dana's gaze held the conviction of truth. And you're well enough to believe her. Then what? Fear traced cold down my back. I yanked the splinter free. Blood pooled on my fingertip. I ran to the closet and yanked open the door. 2 sets of long, fresh gouges ran down the length of the wood. My fingertips fit them perfectly. So I hope you enjoyed Whippoorwill Calling. I will tell you, and I'm ashamed to admit it, that I actually did do that to a friend of mine. And I've changed the names, but it did happen in a house on Lake Jocassee. There was no taxidermy in the house, so I added that for effect. Sometimes we take stories that are real and then we fictionalize them. So some parts of this is very much fiction, Parts of it is real. The bed did break. We did scare the daylights out of her. And I'm horrified to say that I was part of that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. And if you liked it, please subscribe to my channel. Also, in the information on this channel and under this post, you should see a link to my mailing list and to my blog and Eclectic Muse. And I hope that you will sign up for those also. Thank you, and have a wonderful day, and watch out for those wardrobe closets.